Welcome and thank you so much for being here. My name is Santi, and I'm joined here with Angela. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak to you guys after Noah and all of the Figma design team. It's such an honor to just be here with you. So thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Angela Pinzon. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a lead product designer at Kiru. I'm so passionate about design systems and Figma. And I worked for more than a year on these projects that we will present to all of you. Now, I would like to give Santi the floor.
Thank you, Angela. So first off, a big shout out to Huge, which is our agency, our motherland. Also, a very cool Figma agency partner. The space that just give us this amazing opportunity to be on this talk, and of course, a great digital player. And also, big shout out to the team that made all of this possible. These are not just two people talking here. This is a very big team that made everything possible. So, quick shout out to Cami, Dani, Pau, Juli, Meli, Nata, Andre, Bibi, Paulo, Chris, Frank, and Sol, and everybody else that I couldn't really fit in this slide. You guys are all amazing. And so our story begins with one of our huge clients, no pun intended, where we were asked to add a lot of value through their huge product ecosystem. They're in the millions of users and they're developing stuff every single day. And so we engaged with them in very specific amounts and ways. But this thing happens all the time, and as that we jump into a brief to result mentality. We're expected to do turnover above everything else, and because things get so big, it's just easy to fall into this mindset. But because we fell so much into this, the team felt all of the time that talents were being underutilized. And so we weren't really having conversations regarding UX design. We weren't really having conversations regarding all of our expertise using Figma because we were migrating internally, nor did we have the chance to speak about systems and how we structure things internally for the product. And so overall, there was a lack of strategy that just surrounded all of our conversations. And so originally, this is the starting point of the story. They asked us for a very specific thing. One day, they just told us, hey, can you migrate a design file from Sketch to Figma? We estimate this task could be about 5 days, maybe another week. And that's probably all you're going to do. But as we quickly found out, this was a lot more than just 5 days and a lot more than just the migration. And to tell you all about that, I want to switch it over to Angela, who's going to delve deep into what it took to actually deliver this.
Thank you, Santi. So, the first question we asked ourselves was why were they migrating? And the client was starting to face the challenge of remote work with our current world situation, the COVID, and decided that Figma was the ideal platform for this migration. The client also had misconceptions regarding to the transition between a Sketch and Figma, and they just wanted to have all these Sketch elements in a new tool and expect them to have the same capabilities and the same behaviors. And so, after deep diving into the product, we found a file with inconsistencies, duplicated elements, no rules in naming convention or structure. And long story short, it was like a playground after recess. And this is a highlight of what we found. We find 21 different colors and some of them duplicated, 39 different typefaces as styles in Sketch, 218 symbols, and 143 components more than the symbols that were already created in the Sketch file. And what we have is just one designer, two files to deliver, and 5 days to accomplish this task. So aside for understanding the amount of reference handed to us, we also need to understand the long-term goals of the organization and the project, and the way they highlight out assets, rules, and even their internal design team structure, their processes, needs, and pains. So we start asking a lot of questions. We really want to know every single detail about the team, and some of those questions we don't really have an answer. And our main concern was that this problem could continue in their team if we just drag and drop the file. So we need to come up with something valuable for them, not only at a visual level. And at this point, we realized that this was not a small task. We quickly figured it out that what we have in front of us was the opportunity to create a project that fixed not just a file, but the way these big clients have been making their design systems. So, of course, we took action. We create a set of rules to start working based on our experience with design system on Figma. And the first step was to create an inventory. It gave us the scope of the project, and then with the client, we set some other rules like the naming convention and the brand rules when using external libraries, and also the component behaviors. And the second step, or the next step, was inside Figma, the Figma rules, the allocations of the file in the organization, the cover page, the sticker sheet personality based on their team, and also the creation of the foundation file. So all those rules based on a mantra: be organized. With all of this process in place, there was no way a single designer could tackle all of this scope of work. So reinforcements have to be brought in. And also, this research led us to find an element that was repetitive in all the clients' teams, and it was the term sticker sheet. So we asked ourselves, what was a sticker sheet for this client? And what we discovered was that a sticker sheet is an alive product file with all the assets you can imagine: foundation, user flows, development documentation, exploration, the red lines, and so on. So the sticker sheet should be the source of truth for designers and for developers. And here, the pieces were clear. We understood that we should know the context of the product. We have to learn from it. And then we should generate a process that will last over the time with Figma as our main tool within an agency environment. And finally, whatever we create, we have to show it to the client and to the internal team too. And this is how this new mental model was born, where each of these pieces fulfills a function, and without any of them, the process will fail. And the intersection of this within Figma as our framework give us the new concept of a sticker sheet. So here we found an opportunity to create two files instead of one, as a base for a bigger design system that can constantly evolve within each team. So the first file we call Foundation plus the product name, and it should contain all the main components and documentation of uses. This file will be our library. And the second file we call Sticker Sheet plus the product name, and it should contain all the exploration, user flows, and final scripts built with the instances of the main component from the foundation file. So another challenge we have was the construction of the building of this foundation file. So we adopt the modular thinking based on the atomic design model, but backwards, from templates to atoms. And here is an example of a template. And to give a little bit of context, each card has a different design. And our task was not only to migrate and decompose the component, but to find patterns between them to unify the library. So as you can see here, this is an organism. And this card, we have to break down into molecules, and then atoms, and the foundations, which are styles within Figma. So now remember, we have to do this with all the entire file. So let's see a foundation file. Just give us a second, please. We have to move to another. Thank you, Santi. So we merged these two sticker sheets for sharing purposes, but originally they are two different files in the same project. And this is just an example of a foundation file. We don't want to go deeper, and this is a resource that you will find in our community profile. So go to the Figma profile and take that and duplicate this file. And the highlight of these foundation files are, first, the cover and the Get Started page are mandatory. And in the Get Started page, we explain how to use the library, the assets panel, and also the styles. And if for any reason you create or you build this sticker sheet with a plugin, this is the space to explain how to use it. You have to remember that the client has no idea how to use in the best way Figma. So that's the reason we create this Get Started page. The third highlight was that we call all the styles in Figma as foundations. As you can see in the page lateral panel, we have a section that we call foundations. So you can see color, grids, typography, and elevations, and those are the styles inside Figma. And then you can see a component group or a component section, and we organize the components in alphabetic order, so the pages order should match with the asset panel. As you can see, if you move to the assets panel, you can see that this is the same order in the page and in the component. And also, all the styles have a main component with all the main components, sorry, have a description inside Figma. So when you hover in the assets panel in your main component, you will find the uses, specifications, and the name. It's super useful when you are like using a lot of components. So now this is in terms of foundation. Now, Santi, can you explain a little bit about sticker sheets?
Absolutely,
Absolutely,
Gigi.
Gigi.
Thank you so
Thank you so.
much. We're gonna talk about the sticker sheets that are built within the same file, as Gigi explained. And of course, because a sticker sheet is a place for people to gather context, also the framework and also the culture of what is being built, I have to explain to you what this product is. And basically, it's a small teacher app that will help primary school teachers figure out what's the most impactful kind of task that they should be doing for a day. I did this because one of my roommates is a teacher, and I just figured out like he has so much stuff to do. So here it's like a simplification. He can prepare a test, whether that's math, science, history. He can wind down for a while. He can start grading. He can get a new note down, or he can play some music. Um, and you can go here and actually see all of the apps that are within this mini space. So you can do all sort of things, manage accounts, manage activity. And the cool thing about this is that this file is entirely built using the components that are in the foundations file. So you're going to see here are the cards. Here are just like other representations using variants. All of the text that are here are calling up on these styles as well, the header. And if you go into one of the flows, which is the other sticky sheet, it's like, how do you prepare a new test? So I just wanted to quickly give you an overview of how you do it. You select the subject, you add some questions, and then once you had them here, you create a test. But say you wanted to change this button because you just liked another one. Just want to change it over to a text here. Maybe change up the style because I really like a different sort of background. I like that green button. Um, and yeah, that's kind of an example of how you can play around this file. So feel free to just copy this file from the community that we're publishing. It's linked within the deck as well, so you don't have to go too deep to find it. And now going back to everything that we learned, putting this process in place had a lot of challenges. The first challenges was just figuring out how to take everybody on the team and put them on the same page. So that's internal team knowledge, just getting everybody on the roll of how to use Figma, how to use all of its capabilities, whether that's design system or just sharing stuff all together. And then getting the client on board to understand how much capability really lied within that, how much they could use those components and, detach stuff, override stuff, use variants, and use everything that we were actually trying to figure out. So the more we added people to the team, the more it started to feel like it was just getting messy, like a hell kitchen. And so we had to adapt super quick. With Gigi, I think we structured over 30 general Figma onboardings. We had a lot of process and design system training that are still in place to this day, and just overall had to nudge the culture. And one of the ways in which we nudged the culture was working with our project managers to change those small tickets that were just being dealt with every day to have a long-term view of what building a sticker sheet actually meant. So we went from this small ticket to actually a weekly review and a lot of things that helped us, get better at the process. And so after getting through a good amount of this and releasing a couple of these, we asked ourselves the question, and it's like, how do we measure a design system without actually launching it? How do we take this library and make sure that it's actually useful without going out of our way to put it out in risk and publish it to the client's space? So, well, the obvious answer, and for a while it eluded us, but it was usability testing. So we set out to find out two things. First of all, how easy it was for people to discover whether those were the styles or those were the components that were held within the library. And then once they discovered them, how easy it was for them to actually use them, to actually, do those overrides, mix them up, bring them using auto layout. And so we held 5 user tests with some amazing designers, and we measured the 3 quantifiable aspects of usability testing, which is effectiveness, how many tasks people were actually completing, efficiency, the speed at which tasks were being completed versus an expert user, and then satisfaction, which is a very simple question, just going from 1 to 5. How easy did you think this was? And I don't want to go too much into the user testing because I want to show you the actual numbers of the impact that we had once we released these libraries. And so this is a screenshot that we took last week. You're going to see in the last 7 days, over 130 teams, internal design teams using this, over 201 components in over 24,000 inserts. And if you go back even further, that's a year, you're going to see just over that year that started in August, there have been 88,000 inserts, and that's only for one team that has been 36% of all that sample. It had its ups and downs, but we're still pretty much growing consistently, and it's being amazing to see. And there's also a lot of things that have been happening internally. So we moved from a team of 1 designer to 12. We moved from 0 project managers to 3. We've done over 800 components, 5 processes, 8 kickoffs, 7 user tests so far, because we're structuring a lot more, 30 plus training sessions. And we went from a week's worth to over a 6-month engagement. And although these numbers are super impressive, I want to take it over back to Angela so she can talk to us about the lessons and the things we learned along the way.
Thank you, Santi. Well, after 8 months of hard work, tons of research, a lot of meetings, and a very organized mindset, these are our top lessons. So the first one, be a librarian, don't just hand out books. And this is one of our biggest lessons, and it's actually a quote for Migi, our design advocate and a content reviewer. So thank you very much, Migi, for this amazing quote. And we have learning how to be a librarian, learning about our clients' needs and pains to actually suggest solutions instead of waiting for they ask. The second lesson is transform the scale of your brief. So we shift from a linear to a cyclic process and change the mindset of the task and our mindset too, trusting in our capabilities and with the intention of adding value. And the last one is making something useful. And with a clear design problem, any solution could include other areas that make part of the creation of design system. So as you can see here, this is a framework that works for designers, product and project managers, and developers. And well, we are done. This has been a great space. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate and reach out. And well, this is our communities in Figma and our emails. And I don't know, Santi, if you want to say something else.
Yes. Thank you, Angela. I'm also a very, very passionate Figma community advocate, and we're actually building more and more communities here in Latin America. So if you live in Latin America and your country doesn't have a user group started, reach out to me, reach out to the team. We can help you. We have everything you need to get your own user group on board. And also really want to encourage you guys to use this file. We think there's a lot of possibilities using sticker sheets to scale design systems. If you want to become like an independent product design system consultant, I think that's really going to be a thing that's possible. And these, sort of big scale structures will really help us achieve that. And so thank you again so much for your time. I know you have so many amazing speakers to choose from, so choosing us is really something that we're proud of. And now I just want to ask you, Angela, if you have anything else to say.
Well, the idea of this talk was to encourage all of you to see beyond the ask and think outside the box. So this is my last comment here. And thank you, thank you, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Back to you, hosts.